All right, let's do this mock assessment. So I've already cloned the mock assessment. Everything is in. I already did npm install, so everything can just be automatically installed. Remember, package.json will include a list of libraries. We'll take a look here. So, like for example, if you look in dependencies and dev dependencies, it's already got everything you need: TypeScript, TSJS, Node, NodeMon, all the stuff here. Okay, so if you just do npm install, it will load all of these because package.json contains all the libraries that are required for this package. Okay, let's look at the practice assessment and see what it is asking us to do. First, we have so we're going to build some interfaces. Yep. So let's build a job interface. So in the job.ts file, create an interface named job and export it. Okay, export interface job. All right, I just tend to put export in front of the thing I'm exporting. That's just my own personal code style. You don't have to do that. You could do this. Okay, and that works just as well. I just find this to be a little bit more typing, just me personally. So I usually just do export interface job. Okay, and it's just quick and simple. All right, it's got a title, years required, and remote. Title, which is a string, years required, which is a number, and is remote, which I'm guessing is a Boolean. Yep. And then methods. Get annual pay has no parameters. It returns a number. Okay, I always forget the thing I just read. Get annual pay. Okay. Get annual pay and returns a number. All right, no jest tests. Cool. Salary job class. In the salary job file, create a class named salary job and export it. Alrighty. So here's my interface. Here's my properties. Remember, interfaces can have properties or methods, and you'll have the method signature, so the name of the method. In this case, get annual pay. It returns a number. It doesn't take any parameters. Remember, you're not in the interface. You don't actually put down what the function actually does. You just put down the fact that the function exists. Okay, so salary job. So we're going to do export class salary job and implements. Implements job. There we go. So job is a interface. So we implement them, and it will say can't find it. We'll do quick fix. All right, now it's going to yell at me because it doesn't have the right properties. So we got to put those in. And so we need, and again, like it will this extension I have, which is error lens and error gutters. Error lens is very nice because I can just read it right here. All right, so I need title, years required, is remote. Title string is required, is remote, Boolean. What was it? Years required? Yeah, years required. Years required number. All right, and then it will have a method. I'm just going to go ahead and just copy this. Get annual pay number. All right, TypeScript, of course, will still be mad because, well, this function still doesn't return a number, and all of these are properties, but there's nothing to initialize them. Meaning, if I instantiate salary job, there's like what value should the computer set years required to? Well, it doesn't have anything, so I need to tell it. So we're going to do a constructor. Okay, remember the constructor is a special function that is run whenever you do like new salary job, new hourly job. When you do that new, the constructor will automatically run. So title, which is a string, is remote, which is a Boolean, and years required, which is a number. Remember, these are just variables in the constructor. That's all these are. I could name this violin, tuba, okay, and saxophone. Saxophone. All right. And it would still work. So, for example, I would say the first one's title. So this dot title equals violin. This dot is remote equals tuba. This dot years required equals saxophone. Okay, like this would work. Okay, so don't think that the order that this is in has any meaning. And please don't think that the names of these variables that are passed in the constructor have any meaning other than the name you give them. Okay, the reason that I tend to do things in order is because that's good coding style. Like I will like list out the properties and then in the constructor I'll put them in the same order and I'll also put this here in the same order. That's not because the computer is smart and figuring something out. It's just because that's good coding style makes it more readable. Now I'm going to go ahead and undo this so that it's a little better. So this should be title. This is remote. Okay, years required. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and switch everything back over so it looks like it should. All right, cool. So we've got our properties, we've got our constructor, and then we got get annual pay. What do you want me to do for annual pay? So years required. All right, so we got a default thing. Okay, this parameter is optional, has a default value of 0. All right, so years required is optional. So I'm gonna go back into the interface and put a question mark next to years required to show that it is optional. Okay, and then I'm gonna make its default 0. Okay, so that basically what this does is it says, hey, you don't have to give me years required, but if you do, like if you give me a years required, I'll take whatever number you give me. If you don't give me a years required, I'll just set it to 0 and go on with my life. And that's what default means. You could put it up here too. It's usually better to put it here, just because it's clearer. Like hey, this is the default value. But I think both would work. All right. It returns a salary property. All right. So get annual pay. Return this dot salary. Return this dot. Wait, where's the salary property? Oh, it hasn't. Oh, it has. I didn't. Okay, cool. Job interface has these 3, but this has an extra salary. Okay, that's fine. So we have salary, which is a number. Okay, and remember, for properties, optional properties have to go at the end. So, for example, okay, ooh, this is different than C#. I like it. Okay, in C#, that's not a thing. You can't do that. But TypeScript, you can. All right, cool. So I'll add salary. This dot salary equals salary. Okay, cool. And then all I gotta do is return this dot salary. All right, I got my salary job. So that's cool. All right, so for salary job is remote, it's also optional, has a default value of false. Okay, so this is also optional. Okay, is remote. I like to put my optionals at the end. All right, cool. So again, this is my OCD, but like I like to keep everything in the same order. Okay, so like if title comes first and the constructor is inside as an argument, it should become first here. You do not have to do that. That's just me being OCD. All right, I think I got everything that it wanted for salary jobs. Let's go ahead and do hourly job. Okay, so hourly job is another class that will, so let's go to hourly job. So export class hourly job, which implements job. We implement interfaces, we extend classes. All right, so it has hourly wage, title, years required, remote. Hourly wage, which I'm guessing is a number. Years required, which is a number. Is remote. This is years required, remote. Did they mean is remote, or did I do that? Oh, I'm sorry. See, this is normally with booleans you put like is in front of them because that makes more sense. So, okay, so this is supposed to be remote. Okay, I'll just like flip it over. It's no big deal. Okay, the reason I did that is just because with booleans, normally you do it like is or has in front of the name, so that when you read it out loud, it makes sense. So like, is the job remote? is the person, I don't know, salary, like is or has, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when you read out loud, like it reads like a sentence. If we just do remote, that's fine. Yeah, this happens to me too. Like I'll be reading the like requirements, and my brain will translate into the thing I think it should be. All right. Years required title. We need title two. And we're gonna do a constructor, and then it will be hourly wage. So hourly wage is. So years required and remote is still optional, but hourly wage is not optional. So hourly wage number, title, which is a string, and then we'll do remote, which is a boolean, equals false, and years required, which is a number, equals 0. Okay, and if this like seems a little bit tedious, that's because it is. That's why we have IntelliSense. Cool, got the constructor, and then it will want get annual pay. All right, so hourly wage, cool. Title, cool. Years required is default to 0. Remote defaults to false, great. Get annual pay, it returns the hourly wage property times 2,000. Times 2,000. Okay, and you are still angry. Cannot find name job. Oh yeah, I gotta import that. Sweet. Okie doke. We can do jest tests at a little bit. We can do them now, I guess. Hourly wage tiles is required remote are set from the constructor's parameters. Well, yeah. Years required defaults to 0 when the third constructor parameter is omitted. Okay, I'll do the jest test at the end. I just want to kind of knock most of this stuff out, and then we can test it afterwards. Well, that's not very TDD, though. All right. We already broke TDD. So let's do hourly job, right? Describe, test. Wait, is this test not to do, by the way? It doesn't run anything. It's just there to remind you to do it. All right, so we're going to do test. We had 3 test cases it wanted us to do. I'm just going to copy them over because I will not remember that. Okie doke. Hourly wage in remote. So, let's just call this like set properties in constructor. Okay, arrow. Cool. Let's do the remember arrange, act, assert. Those are the 3 stages of unit tests. Okay, so this is hourly job. So I'm gonna do let test hourly job equal new hourly job. Right. So hourly wage title. So I'm going to hover over it to remind me in what order the things come in. So if you hover over the class, this pop-up should come up, and you could look at the constructor in the upper part, and it'll tell me like which things are optional and which things are not. All right. So hourly wage. I'm just going to put some just like whatever. So hourly wage is $10 an hour. You are a cashier. You are not remote, and you don't need any years because it's a McDonald's job. All right, so actually, let's get them the non-default, right? So we'll say you somehow work remotely. I have no idea how, and you need 2 years. Great. All right, and then I'm supposed to just basically, I guess, there's not really much to act, so I would just assert I expect the test hourly job dot remote to be true. I expect there were hourly wage, title, and years required. So hourly wage to be 10, and I expect test hourly job dot years required dot to be 2. This is I will be honest with you. This is a bizarre test because normally you don't test the constructor. Because why? But I guess they want you guys to like practice it and understand what's happening. All right, so I'm gonna save everything. Okay, npm test. Cool. Let's see what happened. Okay, salary job all passed. Where's hourly job? Yeah, hourly job. There we go. Passed. Cool. Let's do test. Years required defaults to 0. Arrow. Cool. So range active cert. Let test hourly job equals new hourly job 10 cashier. And if I can see how I can just like here I gave it 4 properties. I gave it 4 arguments, and then here is just 2 because the last 2 are basically optional. Like you could give them or you don't have to give them. All right, so if you were, let's see, if you put in like false, hover over it. So now it should be, so years required, so string remote, yep. Okay, so I have like the first 3, so I'll have the like hourly wage, title, and whether or not they're remote. And then I left off the last one, so it should be 0. So I expect test hourly job dot years required dot to be, come on now, 0. Okay, there really isn't much of an act in these, but these are kind of contrived tests. Like I would never like in a real scenario, I'm sorry, I would never do this. Okay, cool. All right. The get annual returns the hour. Like this is a test that actually makes sense. I'm not trying to like down the lab. Like please don't say that. I'm just not gonna like these ones. I just don't really understand. Like you would never do that. But get annual pay makes sense. Let's make sure the calculation's correct. So get annual pay is correct. All right. Arrow. So let test hourly job equals new hourly job 10 cashier. All right, so this should be 20,000. That means that I expect test hourly job dot get annual pay dot to be 20,000. Is that, no? Is it 2,000? What am I multiplying it by? It's 2,000, right? Yeah, so 2,000 times 10 just added 0, 20,000. Great. Run my stuff. Okay, cool. Everything passed. Awesome. So my hourly job works. Fantastic. Okay, candidate class. Oh, there's a lot of work here. Okay, let's move over to there. I'm gonna close some of these windows out. There's a lot of stuff in the candidate class. Hoo-wee. All right, so we got properties. Okay, create class named candidate and export it. Okay, so we got export class candidate. Cool. Name and years experience. This property always starts at 0. So name. So name is a string. Years experience is a number, which it's going to just start off at 0. Okay, it's going to whine at me about the initializer. Yep, and then okay, cool. So you will not be able. So the constructor only has the name. That makes sense. Okay, so when you make a new candidate, you cannot like have a candidate and then say it's years experience. When you do the new, when you instantiate it, you have to do something else. Okie doke. So constructor, we did that. Methods, add experience. It takes 1 parameter, years. Add experience. Years number. It doesn't return anything. Void. The function increases years experience by the given years argument. So that means what that means is the function is going to take in some number of years. It's going to take that number and add it to years of experience. So all I have to do is this dot years experience plus equals years. Okay, so basically, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm kind of like predicted this would happen because the constructor didn't have years experience. So you have to ask yourself, we have a property, but we don't have any means of like setting it. Well, usually if it's not the constructor, then there's going to be a function that will manipulate that property. So that's why I expected this to be here. Fits job. Fits job takes one parameter, which is fits job. It takes in a job. Import job from job. Okay, cool. And then what does it return? Returns a Boolean. All right, so it returns a Boolean. Awesome. The function determines if the candidate's years experience is greater than or equal to the job's years required. So, okay, so if this dot years experience is less than job dot years required, oh, it's possible. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so in that case, well, it still could be this way. So I need to, but so basically we want to make certain it has the years required. So actually I'm going to take this off of here. Okay, it should, everything else should be fine. Yep, everything else is fine. So I'm going to take that off of here. Okay, cool. So sorry, once I got to this point, now I understand what they really meant. The job does have a years required, so it does not have to be optional in the interface, because the job does have a years required. It's just that it's going to be like 0 if it's not supplied. Okay, if this is less than, then return false, else return true. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is if the years of experience of this candidate is less than what the job requires, then they're not fit for the job. Otherwise, return true. Wow, if only life were this simple, right? Okay, cool. Bunch of jest tests, that's nice. Let's do remote candidate. All right, let's do Jonathan, do the jest test. Do the jest tests. Okay, cool. So, candidate test. All right, let's do them. So test, and then let's go get, oh my God, there's a lot. All right. Okay. I'm just going to copy them over. Okay, I really honestly don't want to do the ones that are just checking the constructor, because that just seems like a waste of time. Let's do confirm that a new instance of candidate is set to 0. Let's start from calling at experience once. Okay, so call at experience once increases experience. All right, this is for a candidate, right? So yeah. So again, arrange, act, assert. Okay, so my arrange, I need let test candidate equals new candidate. And it needs, its name is Bob. Okay, and then test candidate dot add experience 3. Okay, so this would be the act portion. Then we're going to assert that I expect test candidate dot years experience dot to be 3. Okay, because he's supposed to start off at 0, and if I add experience once, it's supposed to be 3. All right, so let's try that. Cool. All right, and since the other test is kind of similar, they want me to do it twice, which is fine. Call experience twice. Okay, so we'll just do it this way. So I'm going to go like add experience 3, add experience 4, and then it should be 7. Let's test it. Cool. All right, that makes sense. For the following 3 test cases, try some with salary job and some with hourly job. All right, so they want to, so let's think through this. Test hourly job candidate. So basically there's 4, I'm thinking. Okay, hourly job candidate is fit for job. Then there is hourly job candidate is not fit for job. Salary job candidate is fit for job, and then not. Salary job candidate is not fit for job. Okay, so either they're fit or not fit, and then we want one for each of them. Okay, logically. So let's do that. Cool. Let's do arrange act assert. So I'm going to need an hourly job person. So let test hourly job equals new hourly job. Cool. And then it needs what did it need again? I'm going to hover over this. It needs hourly wage. It's 15. Title burger flipper. Cool. And then we're going to do is it remote false, and then years required is going to be, I don't know, 5. Okay, they really want someone that can flip those burgers. All right, so then we have a candidate. So let test candidate. And again, my naming, I just named him like this. You could name this zebra equals new candidate. Okay, his name is George. All right, so since in the constructor I can't set the experience, so I'm going to have to add experience to George. So I'm going to call him test George. Okay, test George dot add experience 5. Then I expect, this is my assert section, I expect, so the candidate is the one that checks to see whether or not they fit the job. Okay, cool. So test George dot fits job, which takes in my test hourly job dot should, well, to be, sorry, C# just, they mix up sometimes, should be true. Okay, cool. Okay, so arrange, I need a job, and then I need a candidate, and then I adjust the candidate's stuff. I've kind of taken act and assert and molded them into one line because that's just cleaner. But basically I'm saying, okay, cool, if I run this function with this job, with this candidate, I should get back true. So we're going to do the same thing here because I don't want to type all that out again. And then this time I'm going to make certain that he does not have enough experience. Okay? In which case it should be false because 2 is less than 5. Right, I'm just going to comment these out for the moment because I'm going to get to them in a second. Make sure everything's saved, and then run my test and see what happens. Maybe it's all wrong. Cool, they passed. All right, let's do the next ones. Okay, same idea. Let salary job equals new salary job. All right, the title is, I don't know, Grand Poobah. And the salary is 150,000. It requires 20 years. You can't. Not everyone can be Grand Poobah. And yes, you can work remotely because you're Grand Poobah. And then let test subject equals new candidate. I don't know. What's his name? Bezos. There we go. So he makes way more than that, but still. So now let's go ahead and test subject dot add experience 30. Let's go over. Let's go way over. Okay, so we equal before. Now we're just over. All right. So what's cool? And I'm going to show you kind of what you guys have been doing polymorphism, but now look what happens. So here we had hourly job, right? So I was using hourly job as the input to fits job. Okay, so remember this method fits job right here to see whether or not the person fits the job. I can, here I put test hourly job, which is of the type hourly job, into the function that was fine. I can do the same thing here. So I expect test subject dot fits job salary job dot to be true. See how like salary job goes into this function and hourly job also goes into that same function? And the reason that works is because of the fits job method takes in a job, anything that implements the interface job. Because, where are they? Hourly job implements job, okay, here, and salary job implements job. It means that they're both jobs. Okay, so that means any function that expects a job could take either one of them. And you see how convenient that is? Like, I don't have to do any extra code, right? They follow the same basic pattern, okay? Make job, make candidate, add experience, test. So that's really convenient. All right, so this other one will be not fit. So it's going to be, I don't know, I forget that new guy that took over for him. This is going to be Mike from the warehouse. So Mike from the warehouse, he's only been here for 5 years. He cannot be Grand Poobah. All right, let's run our test. All passed. Great. Fantastic. Okay, we have the candidate class. This is a marathon. All right, let's do the remote candidate. Okay, export class remote candidate. Okay. It create a class named remote candidate and export it. It's a subclass of candidate. So we are going to need to extend candidate. I can spell that correctly. All right, cool. So remember, we extend in classes, we implement interfaces. And if you don't get it right, TypeScript will let you know. All right, so properties time zone, which is a string. Okay, remote candidate will inherit name and year's experience. That's true. So constructor parameters. So super. So super, which is name string. Okay, and then. Okay, oops. Wrote that wrong. Let's just go back here. So we have constructor, so name, which is a string, and then we're going to do super name. All right, sweet. And then it should take a time zone, which is a string, and then this dot time zone equals time zone. All right, cool. And then it's going to be angry at me. Oh, it needs to import candidate. Cool. All right, so we're going to override. It wants us to override a function. So we're going to override, what function do you want me to override? Fits job. Okay, cool. We're going to override fits job. Remember, it needs, when you override a function, the signature has to match exactly, meaning like fits job, that's the name. It takes in the job as a parameter and it returns a Boolean. Like, that's the signature. So the signature has to match exactly if you're going to override it. Okay, cool. You don't know what the job is, so let's import that. Cool. All right, so let's see. It takes one parameter job, it returns a Boolean. The function determines if the candidate's user experience is greater than or equal to the job's users required and remote is true. If so, okay, cool. So if not remote, if not job dot, so if the candidate is remote or the job is remote. Okay, how do we determine that? Let me reread this again. So what is this time zone thing doing? I'm not seeing where this time zone is coming in. Like, it's cool that they have it, but I'm not seeing like what use it has. All right, first off, I'm gonna go back to the job. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of, like, it's supposed to be there. So, I'm not gonna have it be optional anymore because it makes the code a little bit more verbose. So if the job is not remote, return false. Okay, so basically, like, for a remote candidate, if the job itself is not remote, they don't want it. Okay, so the next issue is, hey, okay, cool. If this dot years experience. See how years experience popped up even though it's not up here because we inherited from candidates. So remember, all the properties that come from the parent class come down to the child class. So that means that even though I didn't explicitly set it here, it exists because it copies everything over. So if this dot years experience is less than job dot years required, it return false, else return true. Okay, cool. So let me go over my logic again. If the job isn't remote, so that's why it has not. Remote's a Boolean. So we do like not. This means like if this is false, then return false. If they have less experience in what the job requires, then return false. In all other cases, return true. Okay, cool. I don't know what time zone is doing here. Okay, cool. Like maybe they wanted to. So we can do more tests. Okay, let's go ahead and do those because we're good programmers. Okay, remote tests. Okay, cool. Get rid of the to-do test. And then I can guess what they are. I'm not doing the constructor ones. That's asinine. So salary and hourly job, and then you add experience and see whether or not they fit the job. Okay, cool. So hourly job remote gets job. It's a horrible name for a unit test. Hourly job remote does not get job. Salary job. Cool. So we got basically like the hourly job person who's a remote, like there's an hourly job as a remote candidate and they'll get it and then they won't get it. So there's actually three because I need to test first that whether if it, like for example, the job's not remote, it should be false. If their years required is less, it should be false. There's three cases for each. Hourly job is not remote. And salary job is not remote. All right, so hourly job, remote gets job. Okay, so if we have let test hourly job equals new hourly job, awesome, and it makes $20 an hour, and it is titled ballet dancer. I don't know. It is a remote job, so this is going to be true, and years required is 2. Awesome. All right, then we're going to do let test remote candidate equals new remote candidate. Their name is, I don't know, Harry. And their time zone is EST. It's not a time zone. So that's fine. It doesn't actually do anything. So, okay, cool. I expect test remote candidate dot fits job, test hourly job. This one's true, right? So to be true. So I need to add experience to him though. So test remote candidate dot add experience. Let's give him 3 years of experience. Great. You can be a ballet dancer. All right, cool. And if you're wondering, yes, in production, in like unit tests, people put funny things in for some of the tests. Okay, people like, you know, it can get a little cheeky. All right. This one's false. Okay, and this last one, the job is not remote, so this is going to be false. Okay, so that means that it's going to be false. All right, we'll do salary job in a second, but let's go ahead and I'm going to comment these out, and maybe they all fail. We'll see in a second. Cool, they passed. All right, you guys get the idea, okay, for the salary job. I'm not going to go through all of them. It's exactly the same pattern. Make job, make candidate, add experience to candidate. Then it should be true or false based on those conditions. Okay, so they all follow exactly the same pattern. So let's not go through the joy of doing the rest of them. All right, we got a couple functions. Find qualified candidates. All right, I'm going to end the video right here and finish these ones up because this is a ton of content. And we'll do the functions in the next video, but just kind of go over, make certain you understand the concept of optional parameters. So if we go back to, where was it? All right, like hourly job. Okay, so like in the constructor, you can just set it to false or zero, whatever you want. And that will basically say, hey, you can give me this property, right? So if we look at our tests, notice how like here, I did new hourly job and I gave them 4 arguments. But then on line 22, I gave them 3 arguments. That's because the last 2 are optional. I could just go as well do this. I can't give them 1 because it expected 2 to 4 arguments. It expects a minimum of 2, okay, but you could give it 4 or 3. Okay, so that it lets the people choose based on what, I'm saying, like what they want to do. Those are optional. Remember, we have indexes, or not indexes, interfaces. You can put your properties and your methods. You can make the property optional by doing this. In this case would make the code a little bit longer, so I decided not to do that. And then also you have inheritance. So this is an extends candidate. That means, for example, years experience. Even though I don't have years experience written anywhere inside a remote candidate, because it's in candidate, because on here on line 5, it gets copied down into remote candidate. So all the methods and properties that are in the parent are copied over into the child class. Also remember, when you override a method, make certain the signature matches exactly, meaning the name of the function, any parameters it takes in, and then what it returns. The signature should be exactly the same if you're going to override it. Right. We'll do functions in the next video.